Damien ruins horror movies.
What is going on? We are back. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. And if you're one of those people that are offended by people saying Merry Christmas, then I hope you had to work. Yeah, I said it. It's still December. Tonight's movie is not a Christmas movie, but it is the beest of the bees that I've done. It's the bee's knees. I found it. I didn't even know this existed until yesterday when I was flipping through the old Tubi. And I found WrestleMassacre. This movie was quite the little gem. Before we get started, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Because right now I am at I am 915 subscribers away from my goal. It's been a Christmas miracle. So if we keep that rolling, that'd be awesome. But now let's roll into this movie. It starts. And by the way, this movie got right as I record this could change. This movie has a 6.6 rating on IMDb. I have no idea why. It must be it's not even new. It's 2018, so I have no idea. Maybe just 10 wrestling fans watched this movie and they were all 6 of them were like, this movie's pretty cool, and one of them was on the fence. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Even by the standard. I don't understand why all B horror movies look like they were made in the 90s. So it opens with this dude is chasing, this couple's running. The woman is wearing nothing but a pair of boots. And the guy with her is fully clothed. I don't know what was happening prior to them running, but they're running. And finally the guy's tired. And he's like, you go on without me. If we keep running, we're going to die. I'm going to go back and fight him. And she's like, all right, you go back and fight him. Kick his ass. And she keeps running. And he goes back and fights the wrestler. And the wrestler kills him. And then after, I don't know how long they were running, because everybody's super tired. And then as soon as the wrestler kills the guy, it's boom, he immediately catches the girl. And it just rips her face off. It's just I don't know. It's kind of, this movie, I always say, if you're going to do a low-budget movie, do it in the dark. And I don't know how practical or if that's harder to do, to record a movie in the dark. It just seems like your special effects would look better if there was less light on them. But this movie, as bad as everything in this movie is, the special effects in the broad daylight don't look that bad. They're actually pretty good. They're practical effects, and yeah, it's one good thing I can say about the movie. The kills are stupid and cheesy, but they look pretty real, considering, I don't know if you consider the movie. Then we change scenes, and it says 4 days earlier, and we meet Owen, who looks like a wannabe Jason Mewes, which is kind of funny because several people in the movie call him the Fabio wannabe or something to that effect. It's this guy looks nothing like Fabio, except he has long hair. But he looks like he's trying to, I don't know. Whenever I see B movies, I always think Kevin Smith, because I always feel like B movies are always trying to rip off Kevin Smith and Tarantino. And this one, they even found their own Jason Mewes, except he doesn't act like Jason Mewes. But he gets a phone call because he's in debt. And he gets off the phone because he's behind in his payments. And his girlfriend Becky comes in and she's like, what's going on? Oh, you're in debt? And he's like, yeah. And he starts, well, I borrowed $100 from your brother, and then I did this, and I owe these guys $14,000. She's like, what? You need therapy. She immediately, but she's probably not wrong, but it's still this is where you pack your bag and you leave this guy. $15,000 in debt, and you didn't even ask what he spent it on. You're just like, well, we're struggling enough to make our mortgage, and then you go and spend $15,000 on who knows what. She's just like, well, get your shit together, and just kind of moves on. It's weird. It's no girl would react that way. And if she does, then you leave her, because that's not a good fit. Come on. We gotta checks and balances. Take care of each other. You're a couple. Don't let your man do stupid shit. In the next scene, we're introduced to the bill collectors. I don't know, as a way to show us how badass and hardcore and no nonsense these guys are. They show up to a warehouse where Doughboy, I don't know, he seems like the boss guy of the warehouse, but he owes money. I'm not sure how much, but they beat the shit out of one of his coworkers. At first I was like, that's weird. They beat the shit out of the coworker, but not the guy that actually owes the money. But I just watched this movie again. The coworker threw the first punch, so he had it coming. He deserved what he got. And then they kind of rough up the guy. I mean, it's pretty cheesy. Jackie's the main bill collector guy. He's not like the mob boss guy, but he's the guy, and he's like kind of this Rick Rubin looking motherfucker. He's wearing a Thriller jacket, and he's got like bleached blonde hair, but he's got a gray beard. He's just kind of this burnout, but he's supposed to be a tough guy. And he just like, it's funny when he walks in, he's like, "What's up, motherfucker?" That would be kind of terrifying if you're at work and like this group of guys comes and their icebreaker is, "What's up, motherfucker?" And you're like, oh shit, that's the guys I owe money to. And now everybody knows. It's not like it's a secret. There's nothing low-key about it. But it's so stupid. They let Doughboy know that he has until Saturday to come up with the money, or else Heads is gonna roll. We meet Randy, and Randy is spoiler-ish, but not really. Randy's the wrestler guy chasing the couple in the beginning of the movie 4 days later, but now we meet Randy before he has snapped. And now we're going to watch the 4 days that lead up to him snapping, and part of it is him watching TV, and he sees a commercial for Boogie's Wrestling Camp. And Randy is Owen's groundskeeper. Gardener, groundskeeper, I don't know. That Owen thinks he's an undocumented Mexican groundskeeper, but he's like, I'm from Cuba. So I don't know if he's undocumented or not, but he's definitely not from Mexico. But he does have a crush on Becky. So like he's secretly like mowing, well, he's not secretly mowing Owen's lawn, but he's mowing Owen's lawn and trying to steal his woman. But at the same time, Owen's a piece of shit. So, here we got Randy, an honest guy trying to make an honest living. Has a little crush on a girl. I mean, it just says rom-com written all over it, except that Randy's not trying to be something he's not. He's trying to be something better, and he thinks that if he could become a pro wrestler, I don't know, maybe he could make himself stand out and make her fall for him. Becky invites him out for drinks at the Creekside the following night. So he's all excited about that. He's like, oh, yes. Phase 1 is complete. Tomorrow, me and Becky going out for some drinks. Gonna make some magic happen. But then in the next scene, we see Randy's working another job, and somehow, I don't know, it's like he can smell the shower. He can just smell nudity. It's like he's walking, because it's like a basement floor. There's a woman taking a shower. He has to like get down on the ground to see in the window, because the window's like just above ground level, like because it's a basement window. And he's like, oh, she's taking a shower. And he's watching her. And we get some boobage. But then we also get her husband, who's totally not cool with this Vince Neil looking motherfucker, like if Vince Neil did steroids instead of street drugs. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. You were looking at my girl. You were looking at my old lady. He's like, no, I wasn't. Yeah, you were. He's like, no, I dropped something. I was trying to pick it up. No, you were looking at her. And he like punches him in the stomach, and he kicks him. And it's funny because this is something that bothers me, because people do it at my work too. He's wearing a fluorescent vest that he has to wear for work, but he's wearing camouflage pants. It's like, do you want to be seen or no? Or maybe you just want people to see your upper body but not your legs? What's going on here? It's a weird fashion statement to where it's like, oh, I'm going to make my upper body just visible. What if we did that? What if we just had areas of our body we didn't like? So like the areas of our body we did like, we put fluorescent shit all over. And then this problem area, like, oh, my stomach sucks. I'm going to put camouflage on it and nobody will see it. Okay, that's stupid. But anyway, Randy watches a lot of TV at night when he goes to bed. Or he usually he stays up late and falls asleep to the TV on. And one night he's watching the Reverend Nathan Ashbury. And he kind of dozes off, and the Reverend starts talking to him personally. And he's like, you want Becky? If you want to get Becky, you need to get to that wrestling school. The Boogie Oogie Wrestling School. And become a wrestler. You go down there, you take out the toughest guy. She's going to notice you. She's going to fall for you. And she's going to leave that Owen and get with you. So he's like, you're absolutely right. And then, like, there's a devil face. So it's like, did he just sell his soul to the devil through religious TV? Because he watches a lot of just crap. It's like 90s. It was like 90s public access television. He's just watching. It's like, hey, why you couldn't get the rights to Jim Spag? Do people that don't live in the Pacific Northwest know that reference, Jim Spag? I don't know if that's nationwide or worldwide or not. I know it's definitely a thing where I live. The next day, he gets busted at work for peeping the girl. And he's like, I didn't do it. So they're like, you need to get out of here for a little while. We don't want to see you. Just take some time off. So you were caught on surveillance camera wearing our work uniform, which is camouflage pants and fluorescent vest with no name of any kind of company on it whatsoever. So he could really just be anybody. And he's like, all right, fine, I'm leaving. And then he goes home and he looks in the mirror and gives himself this pep talk where it's like, me and Becky are going out tonight. Which, it's like, there's a weird thing where if, like, you're a piece of shit. Like, if you're single and you're a piece of shit, you can kind of deal with it. But if you're single and you're a piece of shit and you're trying to, like, I'm going to meet this girl. I'm going to make her see what a good guy I am. Oh, I'm also going to peep on this girl in the shower. Like, the two kind of don't go hand in hand. It's like, you got to get your shit together before you can be like, oh, why won't she like me? Well, because when you peep girls in the shower, you fucking creep. Now you're on probation at work. But he's like, I think she really likes me. And she must think I'm a man. Because she invited me out to the bar for some beers. That's man shit. If she didn't think I was a man, she would have invited me out for coffee. Coffee's for pussies. This is the real deal. Don't blow it. He's hyping himself up. And when he gets to the bar, the creek side, she's there, but then Owen comes walking in. We get kind of this, because he was not expecting Owen. And it kind of makes, I don't know. Because she didn't really specify one way or the other. She's like, hey, do you want to meet up for drinks? And she wasn't like, you want to meet up with me and Owen? So he just, like, his imagination got the best of him. He's like, oh, tomorrow's the night. So now he's like, oh, this is just awkward now. But then Owen kind of disappears. So they get a chance to talk. So he, like, tries to tell her. Like, he's got to make up cool shit about himself. So he's like, well, I'm going to wrestling school. She's like, why are you drinking water? Well, I'm going to wrestling school. I'm going to be a pro wrestler. She's like, oh, that's cool. He's like, yeah, and you should come when I have my first match. You should come. Because he thinks that, like, if he's some wrestling champion, then she'll like him. Because girls are really into that. Meanwhile, Owen's out in, like, I don't know, he's by the bathroom. Talking on his phone to the bill collectors, and they're asking him more. Which is weird. It's like, why are you... I don't know. I think they show up and they're like, where's our money? You stood us up. You're supposed to be at Chili's right now. He's like, oh, I faxed you guys. They're like, you faxed us? What's our fax number? We don't got no fucking fax machine. He's like, well, I'll get you the money. I just need another week. So they let him go, and Owen decides that this is a good time to leave. He's like, Becky, we got to get out of here. Nice seeing you, Randy. And Becky leaves first. So Owen looks at Randy. He's like, hey, man. I know what you're doing. It needs to stop. You need to stay away from my woman. You're really creeping her out. She told me that you've been doing weird stuff, and she's really creeped out by you. So just maybe you should just stay away for a little while, which he has to anyway. But they don't know about his little peeping Tom incident. So now Randy is like, this is the slow decline of Randy. This is like a real shit version of that Mickey Rourke movie, The Wrestler. Randy goes to wrestling school, or he shows up on the doorstep. We're 41 minutes into a movie called WrestleMassacre, and he's just now getting in the door, finding out, hey man, you're too late. This place books up really fast. We sold out a long time ago. We don't have room for anybody. Then he flashes some money. They're like, all right, we can get you in. And he has a match with this old guy who's like the main guy who's like, I'm Boogie. I don't know what the hell his name was, but he's like, oh, you wanna wrestle me? Let's go. This movie pretends that pro wrestling is like real fighting. So they get in and the guy kicks Randy's ass. But it's like they're doing everything that you would go to wrestling school to learn, like the way that he charges after him, the way that he takes the fall, the way he gets dropped, the way he gets flipped. That's all stuff you would learn at wrestling school. But instead they're making it seem like, well, this is real fight and I just did that to you. But it's like, okay, if you just did that to me, then what would you be teaching me? I mean, granted, everything he did that he would learn at wrestling school would be like, this is how you lose a fight. Now we'll teach you how to win a fight. But it's like, they're not really, it's wrestling. That's not how that goes. They wouldn't just start, oh, it's your first day, come try and wrestle me. You wouldn't just. And then when Randy goes back to work, they decide to let him go. And coincidentally, his boss's name is Mr. Hogan. I think it's Mr. Hogan, as he's leaving, that says, this is actually a good line in the movie. He says, I'd wish you luck, but you wouldn't know what to do with it. And his decline starts, because first there's the Becky not liking him. Wrestling school didn't work out. Now he's lost his job. So to complete his downward spiral, he goes to visit his dad, because part of the reason why he wanted to be a wrestler wasn't just to win Becky over, but apparently his dad was a wrestler. So he wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps and show his dad that he wasn't just a complete piece of shit. Because as we learn, as he talks to his dad has zero respect for him. And when he gets there, his dad tells him that his birth was the worst thing that ever happened to him. He's like, I never liked your mom. Your mom's ugly and repulsive, and I got stuck with her because of you. Which, it's like, hey, it's not the kid's fault you had him, jackass. The kid had nothing to do with it. But go ahead and treat him like it. And even the idea of Randy stepping up and, like, being something that he could be proud of, that annoys him. He's like, I don't want your name anywhere near my accomplishments. I did that stuff. I don't want you. Like, his dad's just a fucking asshole. And so they kind of get in a fight, and Randy grabs him by the throat and just kills him. Kind of accidentally, the sorry, no sorry type thing. And he's like, oh. And then upon, like, that's like the final chip. That's the final into his descent into madness, killing his father, and now he's on the rampage. He's on the warpath. So he goes back to the wrestling school. I don't know. We get a montage, and he just goes on a killing spree, like a wrestling style killing spree, where all the fake moves and stuff. Except he really kills people. He kills his old boss, Mr. Hogan. He kills the boss's son, and just a bunch of like kind of just random people. And the thing about this movie is it's not scary at all. Especially because it all takes place during the day. It's just weird. Like, technically, yeah, it's horror, but it's like, what is... Like, I'm not going to turn out all the lights and worry that he's outside my back door. It's like, I hope Randy's not out there. People aren't going to start worrying about their groundskeeper. Oh, shit, the groundskeepers are here. What if they're wrestlers? It's just not scary. And it's... I don't know, it's not a good movie. It's not a good premise. It's pretty bad. It's not a 6.6. I don't know. I mean, maybe. This is one of those where it's like, I don't know if like being a wrestling fan would make this movie more appealing, or not being a wrestling fan would make this movie more appealing. Because I don't know. Like, I think a wrestling fan, if they watch this, they'd be like, this is fucking stupid. But it does seem now as though Randy has like super power, like super wrestling powers. but he's also like evil now. But he's also like the kindest. Like even in the beginning when he's like hitting stuff with a shovel, when he's dreaming about being a wrestler, he's like the most like upbeat heel ever. It's like because like he like knew he was gonna be the heel, but he's like too nice of a guy. He's a total awkward pushover. He's like, well, how about that, brother? Joke's on you, brother. But it's like doesn't sound intimidating at all. So the Saturday comes, and instead of paying off the bill collectors, old Owen and his girl Becky have a little get together that consists of like two friends. Becky's
Brother.
who stopped by earlier in the movie, and I forgot to mention him. Sean, he was supposed to come, him and his girlfriend, but he didn't. And only Brad and Tori show up, and they're just kind of, they make weird, awkward talk. And it turns out Owen owes Brad money. He's like, hey, remember that $1,000 I loaned you? Well, my taxi company's kind of been having problems, so if I get that back. And Owen kind of bullshits him like, oh, dude, I'm working on it. I got some stuff lined up. It's going to come through. But then the bill collectors show up. Like all of them. It's not just Jackie and the usual thugs. They brought the main guy, Mr. Valentine, who's a little person. They show up and they want their money. It's Saturday. So you got till Saturday. Today's Saturday. We know where you live. We're here. Because they open the door thinking, oh, it must be, Sean did show up. Cool. And then it's guys with guns. And now they're kind of held hostage. But Becky is able to call Sean and let him know that they're in some deep shit and she really needs him to come down and help. And Sean is with his girlfriend, Colleen. And Colleen's from Don't Fuck in the Woods. She's in the opening scene. She's not in very much of the movie. She's in it long enough to get naked, though, just like she gets naked in this movie. But it's Randy who comes to the rescue, and he's going to save the day, completely unarmed. Becky's his girl, and he's there to prove it. But then he kind of freaks her out because he's been killing people for a while. And he's made this like leather face, this like Texas Chainsaw Massacre title belt that's made out of human flesh. Where he's like, yeah, I got my belt, brother. Hold this belt while I make it complete. And she's like, what the fuck is this? Because she's not really down with like, oh, you've been killing people because you've been really upset and you're on a downward spiral. And that's a drag. Maybe we can talk. Maybe we can go out for that beer and work it out. Dip into your psyche a little bit. See if we can fix these broken pieces of your brain. No, she wants nothing to do with it. But she does need a hero. So he goes in, starts whooping some ass. He goes outside with Jackie. They fight for a while, which is really weird. It's like this long fight where Jackie holds his own for a while. Like Jackie's been to wrestling school too. And then like Randy like grabs his arm and like twists a little bit, and then he rips it off and like kind of throws it, and then he like rips off his leg and starts beating him with it. Where it's like, if you could rip off somebody's limb, why would you even mess around? Why wouldn't you just walk through? It's like if I could rip your arm off, that means probably if you punch me it wouldn't hurt. So we don't got to do this little, oh, I got to get the stick and move till I get that arm. I would just walk up to you and grab your arm, pull it off, be like, what, bitch? Now what? Pull off the leg. When he beats him with it, that is kind of funny looking. But one thing that this movie lacks, or where this movie misses, is when it tries to be funny. When it tries to be funny, it is cringy. It's cringe-inducing. It's you just watching, you're just like, oh, I know what you're trying to do, and it just, it's not working at all. Fuck, stop it. So then he's got to have his witty line after he kills him, and he says, lights out, rock star. But he didn't say it like that. He's like, lights out, rock star, brother. And next, it's Randy versus Mr. Valentine. And Mr. Valentine, for a little guy, pretty tough. Watching two little fat guys. Well, let's face it, Randy's not exactly tall. And they're both, I don't know, they're both about as tall standing as they are laying down. And they go at it for a while, and finally Randy gets his hedge clippers and stabs him in the throat, which I'm pretty sure is illegal. But he wins. He gets the V for victory. Then he grabs a chair, a fold-up chair, and just starts chairing the shit out of fucking Tori. Like, bad. I was going to put a clip on, but it's kind of too brutal. I was like, oh, I should put that up because the noise it makes it's funny. It's like, clang, 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 clang. Like, he just goes to town on her head while she's laying on the ground because he knocks her down. But it's kind of... So go watch the movie, forward it to about an hour and 30 minutes in. When he beats her fucking head in with that chair, it's like, oh, shit. Then he sees Brad, her boyfriend. He's like, oh, I start beating the shit out of him with the chair. He's like, oh, you called me spineless? And he rips off his spine. He goes all Mortal Kombat on him. Oh, spoilers. And then Owen comes out. He's like, all right, the guy I've been waiting for. And somehow it turns into a table, ladder, and chairs match where it's like there's this fucking ladder. And out of nowhere, like, Randy starts climbing it. So Owen's like, oh, yeah. And he gets on the other side and he starts climbing it too. And it's like, what are you guys doing? Just a random ladder in the middle of the lawn so you start climbing it? There's no belt hanging up there. What are you doing? They fight, and Randy knocks him off, and he falls through a table. And then Randy drops a big fucking rock on his face and just smashes it, which actually, once again, doesn't look bad. Looks kind of fake, but doesn't look terrible. Looks pretty good. I don't think a rock would do that. But it was like, all right. Owen dead. And Randy's like, she's mine now. Because that's how you steal a guy's girl. You drop a rock on his fucking head and kill him. Sean and Colleen arrive. He tells her to wait in the car. She doesn't. He goes in the house. He finds his sister, Becky, hiding in the shower. But Randy finds Colleen, because Colleen did not stay in the car. And so he kills her. He just does the old, like, you just stick your hand in somebody's mouth and grab, like, their bottom teeth. And then with the other one, you grab their upper teeth. And then you just pull their fucking head apart. He does that move. Like, whoever made this movie was really into, like, pro wrestling and Mortal Kombat. And it shows. Sean runs out there. He's got the gun. And Sean's like, they talk about going to the VA and getting him help and stuff. So obviously he served in the military. So how come when he runs out of the house, he's got a pistol and he starts shooting? Like, why didn't you how did you miss him all that time? If you've been in the military, you've had weapons training, right? They teach you, like, no matter what level I don't know because I've never served. But I imagine shooting a gun is part of basics. He should have been able to kill him, no problem. Then they fight for a while. So Becky comes out. She's got the gun. She points it at Randy, shoots him in his forehead, and he's kind of starts to die. And then the devil shows up. The one from the commercial where I said maybe he sold his soul. His ass shows up. He's like, you tried it. And it's kind of funny. It's like, what the fuck? And then she shoots again and the credits roll. It's the end of the movie. Just like that. Which I was really glad when the movie did end because, like, the movie's kind of long. It's like an hour and 40 minutes almost for not much substance. But it's weird because we have that opening scene where the couple, the naked girl and the dude are running. Then 4 days later, we never tie back. Did he die? How is he chasing them? Who are they? They're not in the movie anywhere else. So what the fuck was even the point of that opening scene? Except to spoil the fact that Randy was going to become a bad guy. Yeah. No. The Gilligan Award goes to Owen for being a deadbeat who borrowed a lot of money, put his girlfriend, I think it's his girlfriend, they're not married, puts his girlfriend's life in danger, borrows money from everybody, has nothing to show for it, but he still has a gardener. Hey, how about you mow your own fucking lawn, jackass? What did we learn? Survival tales. Don't borrow money you can't afford to pay back. Don't wear a fluorescent vest when you're peeping on a girl in the shower. Don't peep on girls when they're taking showers. Learn how to shoot a gun, okay? Learn how to shoot a gun. That's it, guys. See you soon.